Okay, here, this should work, right? There we go. Okay. Hi, this is Yikes. I am here to talk about my cracking composability app, which is going to be for my game that I am working on called End of Line. In the background, you are hearing End of Line's OST. Um, how am I doing blockchain? Why am I doing blockchain? Um, Originally, the plan for this game was to make it with Godot, Godot.js, and SpacetimeDB, because they sounded cool and I wanted to try them for the Levels.io thing. Um, but I ran into a couple of snags. Number one, if I want to use Godot.js, I have to recompile Godot from source to be able to handle JavaScript. And I talked to a couple of my other game dev friends, and they said SpacetimeDB is probably overkill unless you are trying to do full-on real-time. And I'm not trying to do full-on real-time. I'm trying to do mostly turn-based, as you can read, multiplayer PvPvE, roguelike deck builder, territory controlled tactical RPG, which doesn't need a ton of real time, but it does need some. And so, when I realized that SpacetimeDB uses a contract pattern, it sounded like this was a perfect fit, because we can use Mud to have a, like, for a blockchain, high performance DB on chain, and then we can use intent solvers and the Espresso sequencer to speed it up even more, such that we can keep all of the shared state for the game on chain. And the reason we want to do that is because the way that we want to monetize it is we want to sell cosmetics, but we want to have the cosmetics show up on everybody's screen all at the same time. And we want those cosmetics to be tradable and earnable. The sort of core ideas is Espresso sequencer and Mud on a roll-up dApp chain should be enough speed to get everything in sync that we need in sync, and also to read cosmetic NFTs. We use the intent solvers to allow the players to not have to deal with blockchain stuff if they don't want to, and for us to be able to read like current game states that may have like significantly different configurations, and we need to somehow translate my like in scenario action into an overworld state change if it needs to happen. Like just the dApp chain alone is going to be like a little too slow and expensive. Mud helps with that and gives us a real database framework, and then Espresso is going to let us sort of like optimistically for them like get things close enough so we can sort of like smooth over the edges and keep going. So the reason we want to use intents is we are going to have things like polling in the middle of a mission. I'm halfway through flipping an agenda, and then somebody else in their game plays a card to start a riot, and they are in a neighboring territory to me. So what I want to have happen is for that play a riot thing to broadcast and then be picked up by anybody else who is playing in a territory nearby. So the idea being, like, let's take these sort of like natural language descriptions of the current state of the scenario, and then let's hand that to the solver to see if any of that plugs into the game state or not. And then the way since we would have a lot of those coming in at any given time, we can leverage Espresso to construct those transactions in the most optimal way, and then have the DB end up in the proper state for us to broadcast it back out to keep the world state consistent. So we have a ton of contracts left to deploy. All of the mud stuff needs to go down there. We need we're gonna have to like customize the solvers, because basically once mud goes down, we need to figure out what actually goes in that DB, and then we need the solvers to have hooks for all of that, and then we need to have the game state broadcasting client side, and then the solvers listening for all of that. So we need a bunch of those, and then we want the cosmetic NFT and the world state checkpoint. The idea being, we want it shared. We don't need to share everything, so we can get away with a little bit of slowdown from being on chain, but not by much, because we still want to keep it like fairly real-time and snappy. We also don't want players to have to deal with any weird blockchain stuff, so we're going to do solvers, we're going to do account abstraction, we're going to do all that, and then we want it to be able to scale. So Spacetime DB can basically scale infinitely. This probably can't, but my hope is that we can build out the database shared state in such a way where we can keep it basically real time. So we have a bunch of stuff that we want to continue towards making, but I will just validate real quick that we do have something, which is we have a little bit of a like roguelike scaffold to play, but I don't, here, if I click on this, it'll start something, but I don't want it to do anything too crazy. And then we have just currently, this is the only scene that works, but I'm debugging the other ones at the moment to sort of get us towards the deck building and territory control and stuff like that. Yeah, I think I will knock it off here, but if you want to know anything more about the plans for the game or the plans for the integrations, I'm at YikesAwGeez on basically every platform, and hit me up in your Discord. Okay, bye.